Welcome, Sagittarius, to your Virgo season reading. I am so happy that you're joining me here at the Oracle of the Feather Crown Tree. We're going to start with your center card, which is representing your ability to lead from your heart space. And then we will move over to the card in the center on the left, which is your first house on the astrological wheel. And we will work our way counterclockwise around the circle until we get to the 12th house. So what I'm seeing here in the center for your heart space is maybe you're really enjoying the last of summer, like you're indulging in the actual physical nature that you can interact with outside and really loving the sunshine. You may be well aware that the sun will not be as present in the coming months, and you may be kind of trying to go out and collect as much of this energy as you can right now, and really understanding that it is energy that carries information, and that it is energy that encodes the environment around you, and that somehow you're connected to all this, that not only is your connection with the sun directly important, but how it interacts with other beings, other plants and trees, the photosynthesis process, and how you are, in the web of life, connected to the energies that become part of those entities as well. So I hope that you have time to really indulge in this, and that you're creating enough space to just sort of be in this and be in the wonder of it, and to experience it for the sake of it. Okay, so moving over to your first house, which is your projection of yourself, of your identity into the world. We see you very strong, and you may be in partnership with someone else too that's very strong, and together you may be leading something, and it's not a way that's invoking fear. It's a way that you're in command, like you're in your rightful place. So you may have a position where you get to lead, but it's really a fantastic projection of leadership, where it's not about enslaving other people. You may be leading in a way that helps people grow. So you may be a teacher. You may be leading in a way that helps people gain power in their mental strengths, their power to think. And it may not always be directly connected to passion, but passion does seem to be part of this. And there is a sense that you feel passionate about this, and that there is creativity also involved in this process that flows freely through it. So you may be a teacher in something that is about creation, that in the arts perhaps, or even in theorems that people need to think up. There does seem to be like something that you're holding on to, though, that feels like it's kind of fading, like an old structure, something that gave you a sense of authority, that sort of endorsed your leadership, that may now be kind of unnecessary, or you may not need to hold on to as much, because you have gained so much experience that you don't really need to have the crutch of a system or a pillar of something that gave you the authority to to be who you are. Okay, so now I'm looking at your second house of value, and I see you there's something about being the mother, being the nurturer, actually cooking from a place of understanding the power of food itself. You know, it kind of goes back to your center card, like where these things come from, like how we choose to put things into our diet, and the energies that they hold in a way, like the metaphysical properties of what we're doing, that eating just isn't about the physicality. It's an energetic and knowledge, a way that we change our bodies through the actual, DNA structures that we are ingesting through other beings, and how powerful this is, and like almost the level of magic that is involved with it, because it can be so transformative. There's such a powerful, like, natural magic through the elements that comes through the act of cooking that it's kind of like blowing your mind. You may have not really understood this before, and there may be there may be children that are dependent on you for this, and you may kind of be sharing this, or they may be sharing this with you. They may be the ones that are encouraging you. Let's say if, like, you're a mother, that's, this new generation's so great because of the information that they carry. They may be saying, hey, think about what you're cooking and feeding us in a way that is outside of maybe what you were taught about it. It's fantastic. For some reason, it's playful yet kind of bizarre, and you're just sort of like caught up in the act of something, and you're not even really all that aware. You're just kind of overwhelmed in the process of it. So you're kind of bewildered, I guess, is the essence I'm getting off of that. So now looking at your third house of communication and community, there seems to be something that you may be temporarily kind of blocking out. You may be saying, you want to bring in the opposite energy here, so if you've really been projecting a lot of thought, you may be taking a moment to get super, super reflective and going into a space where you're not speaking, where you're just being more receptive, you're being still. Yet, like, there's this like burning need to communicate and burning need to be in community. But there may just be, a temporary time out with that. And of course, being in the times that we're in right now, it may have to do with that too. Just this time that is going to pass, that's kind of forcing you to be a little bit not as connected as you'd like to be. Okay, and in your fourth house of home and family, I feel like the most part there's like a real sense of joy here, a real sense of connecting. There may be moments when parts of the family unit kind of want to disconnect, or they feel a little bit distracted, but all in all, like, you're functioning as one unit. You are in the dance of life. You are on solid ground, yet you know how to move within that. There's structure, yet you're not bound to it. So it could just feel like, you're doing your best that you can to dance through life as, you know, a unit and be in harmony with one another. Okay, so your 5th house, this is really your presence of, you know, your ability to have some authority and to gain some respect for that. You seem to be a quiet force in this realm, and like you're there, but you're not domineering. You are in the background and you're allowing others to develop their ideas and to experiment and to, you know, be in the process of creating and building and trying to animate what they're doing and trying to learn, and they're trying to collaborate. Again, you know, it goes back to your 1st house and that idea of teaching, maybe. You seem to be doing this out of, you know, your heart chakra. It's out of respect for the process of life, for understanding the eternal in a way that you can't control the moment, because you will impede the process of evolution. So you're giving just enough energy, just enough of yourself to a situation so that it can unfold naturally, and so that you're not controlling it, and so that these other beings that may be in your environment can learn on their own through their own self-direction, through their process of collaboration. And you're acknowledging that they have access to other sources of information outside of yourself, that you're just one of the guides for them, that other beings, other symbols, other sources are there that need to come in. And if you become too powerful, you'll block those other energies from interacting with them. Okay, so now I'm going to look at your 6th house of routine, daily routine, and health. And it seems like you've really had to, like, you've gained knowledge about this area more so than normal. Like, you may be really well versed on something in the medical field that is kind of outside of what most people know. And this could be in a way to protect, maybe not just for yourself, but for others around you. And you may have a good sense of, you know, medicine, actually, herbs, how the herbs have been transformed into, you know, modern medicine, and how they serve to protect. Mm-hmm. And I get some sense of like authority in this area too. Like, you've reached just a very high level of understanding. So, you know, going back to that 2nd house where you're maybe playing with cooking, you may have mastered a lot about medicine formally. And now you may be making the connection. You may kind of be de-evolving the advancements of medicine and going back to something more natural, something more of, you know, like directly connected to the earth. So natural medicine may be becoming more important to you. Now I'm looking at your 7th house of relationships and balance and justice. And we are getting a strong sun here again, which we also, we had that in your center card. We had that in your 1st house. We even have it in your, we've got it a lot. We've got it in your 3rd house. So this is really, you having projected a lot mentally. And this is really where, this is kind of like your star quality. Like you hold a lot of knowledge, maybe not wisdom, maybe not so much through things that you've experienced, but you've learned through other means, maybe through research, through listening to elders, through studies, formal studies. And this seems to be an area of dominance for you, and kind of consumes your whole sense of self. Like your identity is very caught up in the knowledge that you have. Yet I feel like it's making you kind of weak, like you're kind of feeble from it. Like the rest of your body isn't as strong as it could be because you have such a concentration of energy in the mental space that your physical self may be dimming a bit. It may be feeding so much of its energy to your mental development. And because this is in, your relationship sector, this may be how you're interacting with people, how you are negotiating, achieving balance, just the rapport that you have with people. And so because it's so evolved, you may be at detriment to your own self, your own relationship with your physical self. So I encourage you to kind of look at that. And when I see, like the 2nd house of value being about, like cooking, home cooking, loving, putting the energy of love into that, self-love, caring for yourself may be becoming something that needs your attention. So looking now at your 8th house of mystery and the subconscious. I see you considering some other thoughts, some things that are kind of floating around you, and again we have this image of a forest appearing, the tree line, and there's some sadness around it. So you may be concerned about the changing of the seasons, like the darkness coming, the loss of the light, and you acknowledge that it makes you have to feel more introspective. And with so many images of the sun and you identifying with the sun, there could be an acknowledgement here of understanding that you don't really care for this season because it disconnects you from what makes you feel, what you've identified as yourself so much, a source of knowledge. And this process of being more introspective doesn't make you feel as alive. It doesn't make you feel happy, basically. And it's not that you see the process of introspection as unintelligible. It's just, you're just disconnected from it. You don't see you don't know how to give it value. And, you identify it so much with the seasons. So I don't know what to say about this so much. we'll see. I'm going to continue and maybe I'll come back to that if something emerges. Okay, so now moving on to your 9th house, where you can kind of go beyond what you know right now. This is higher knowledge. So we're getting a big nod towards the emotions and how, or I should say what emotion is the emotion around knowledge and insight. And strangely, there's happiness here. So in this space, there's not sunshine so much as there is a lightness of being, I can't tell if you're like in a cave or if you are not in a cave. I mean, I feel instinctively here that you're in a cave, but it's like an illuminated cave. And it's a happy cave, and there might be kind of dark elements, but there's so much just illumination from the emotion going on here that it's a very restorative space. So maybe there's a key here where you have been over-identifying with your exterior world as this is, the environment that gives you happiness. Like, how to get your needs met, how to get that emotion from outside of yourself, and that's connected to knowledge. And here there is this leap that's been taken into understanding that, wow, outside of that realm, there's actually another realm that feels different, but it doesn't feel bad. It feels fantastic, actually. And it's a different kind of knowledge. And, it's still a way to learn. It brings you tons of insight that's not heavy, and it's from some sort of internal source of energy, of self-illumination. Yeah, and it's helping you see like the beauty there, the kind of ideas that can be formed through this as well, like through tapping into your own well. Yeah, and it's like, it seems like you discovered a new source of self-knowledge. Love that. Okay, so in your 10th house, this is where you have really reached the pinnacle of what you can build in society, where your reputation is established. And we see you really as, the observer. Like, you look, you learn through the process of observation, and you are deeply affected by the energy of something that is like, what is this? It's almost like a grandmother energy of, there's like a seed of knowledge that can bloom, that can happen naturally within you. And you're allowing that to happen. So maybe you're at a time in your life where you're just becoming more wise, and you're allowing that wisdom to naturally evolve through you and integrate into a reality that you've built that's just full of communication. That you've really have been entangled in the communication in so many stages of development, in so many lives. Like, you're just very involved in people's development. And, you know, this nexus that you've built, like the universe that you've created, is flourishing. Yet you feel something else like blooming inside you, and it's very peaceful and subtle. It has a very gorgeous energy to it. Okay, so your 11th house. Dreams, hopes, wishes, and maybe personal, like it could be like rebelling against the norms of society, and also humanitarian things. This is a perplexing house for me. So you know, again, here we have you in the waters of illumination, in more of an emotional space, and this integration of understanding the wisdom from within and the wisdom that comes from outside of you. And yeah, and here it's like there's an integration of that. And still being able to communicate with people, still being able to not, you know, just self-isolate, yet build this completely new and unique reality that's more authentic, that brings more of yourself to the world instead of bringing more of the world to other people. And there could be something that you're passionate about that helps you connect, that is the source of you really being able to want to be in your emotions a little bit more, and let these emotions help build a new kind of reality. And yet not be isolated in this process of self-reflection. You may have found a way to have others participate in this process with you. Okay, in your 12th house here, which is a house of self-transcendence and cosmic consciousness, I'd say. I see you kind of sleeping. I see you dreaming. I see you letting this realm be, and you be in this realm, and not having to act, not having to be a force, not having to even be a transmitter, which is what you may have been functioning as a lot in your reality. You may still be, you know, just transmitting so much information, that you may just be allowing things to be as is and not having to communicate so much. This kind of goes back to this 3rd house thing where, you know, it's like you're used to communicating a ton, but there's sort of this dark space, this womb, this quietness that you're allowing yourself to be in, and you're finding like it doesn't destroy you, it's not a threat to you, that it actually can bring you a lot of peace and help you very much physically feel healthy. So you may find, even outside of eating well, that just sleeping is very good for your body, very good for your energetic system, not having to be, you know, connected all the time. You may want to turn off your electronic devices more so. You may want to make sure that you're in a very dark room when you're sleeping, and allowing yourself to dream, even if you're not remembering your dreams, that this may help build networks, neural networks for you that are kind of rewiring you to be more comfortable in your inner world. And we are going to conclude the reading right there. So Sagittarius, thank you for joining me. It was a total pleasure to do this reading for you. I hope you are experiencing a gorgeous and fulfilling Virgo season. Please take care and join me again if you can.